Welcome back to rIncident, the place where we read the most unhinged, jaw-dropping, and sometimes genuinely heartbreaking stories straight from Reddit. I'm your host, and today we have 3 stories that are all connected by one very uncomfortable theme. People who are supposed to love you completely failing you when it matters most. We've got a mother-in-law who has zero empathy, a brother who chose his bigoted cousins over his own sister, and a wife who left her grieving daughter completely alone on the worst day of her young life. Oh, and everyone thinks they're the good guy in these stories. Of course they do. Let's get into it. All right, so this first post comes from a mother-in-law. Let's call her Mill Karen, and right from the title I can already feel my blood pressure going up. She starts by describing her daughter-in-law as, and I quote, a very sensitive soul, to put it lightly. She says the woman will cry at basically any pushback or any slightly rude remark. Now, okay, some people are more sensitive than others, that's real, but the way she's already framing this, it's giving, I'm about to justify something terrible. She gives us a previous example. About a year ago, the DIL was tracking mud into her house, and Mill Karen told her to take off her shoes. The DIL got emotional because, according to her, the tone was too harsh. Karen says she didn't yell, and her own daughter confirmed she wasn't mean about it. But here's the thing, even if Mill Karen wasn't technically yelling, tone and delivery are everything. You can say, please take off your shoes, in a way that sounds genuinely polite, or you can say it in a way that makes someone feel like an idiot. We don't actually know which one it was, because we're only hearing one side. And then she tells us the son gave her a lecture about it, and Karen was clearly annoyed by that too. Already seeing a pattern here. She doesn't want to be questioned at all. Okay, moving on to the incident. It's a birthday party for her other daughter-in-law's kid, 7-year-old's birthday. Lots of young children running around. The DIL is helping pass out food, being helpful, being present, when a 4-year-old walks up and calls her fat. The parents immediately grab the kid. The kid is 4. He's practically a baby. He has zero filter. That's not the problem here. The DIL starts crying, understandably, because even if it came from a child, being called fat at a family party in front of everyone is humiliating. It doesn't matter who says it, it lands. And what does Mill Karen do? She pulls her aside and tells her to stop crying. She tells her not to come back out of the room unless she is composed. I'm sorry, let me read that again. She pulls her aside and tells her to stop crying. Not, are you okay? Not, hey, that was awful, ignore that kid. Just stop crying and compose yourself. The DIL ended up going to the car and didn't come back to the party. And then Karen and her son got into a full argument about it. Karen's defense? She's a grown adult crying over a 4-year-old. Listen, I get it. The party was for a child. You didn't want a scene. Those are legitimate concerns. But the way you handled it, you essentially told your daughter-in-law that her feelings were an inconvenience, that she needed to disappear until she stopped embarrassing you. And now the son is asking her to apologize, and Karen is refusing. My verdict, YTA, hard YTA. You could have handled that with 2 sentences of genuine compassion and it would have been over. Instead, you chose to treat her like a problem to be managed, and then you went on Reddit to justify it. That says everything. But you know what? That story is almost wholesome compared to what comes next. Because the next one involves a woman who showed up to her brother's wedding, bent over backwards for him, and got treated like garbage the entire time. This one, This one genuinely hurts to read. Our poster is a trans woman. She passes, she's stealth, and she managed to travel to her brother's wedding in a conservative country. That alone takes courage, but she had serious reservations about going. Why? Because her cousins have been a nightmare for years. Every family wedding, they tried to remove her from the family table and shove her into a back corner. She's been outright banned from some weddings entirely. She told her brother straight up, "I don't think I should go. Our cousins will make me miserable." Her brother guilt-tricked her into coming. He promised her it would be fine, that nobody would bother her because it was his wedding and she is his sister. She believed him. She shouldn't have. The cousins ridiculed her. They excluded her from family activities. She missed 2 wedding events because, and this is wild, her own family forgot to invite her while the extended family all got to go. But she was the one staying up until 3 a.m. making his wedding goodie bags while his beloved cousins were asleep. Read that again. She was making his goodie bags at 3 a.m. And then the final straw. One night, she and her brother were out late and the cousins needed a ride. They had a driver. In their culture, it's customary for a man to sit in the front seat. So she was in the back, brother was in front, totally normal, culturally appropriate. The cousins got in and immediately threw a fit because they didn't want to sit next to her. And instead of telling his cousins to find their own ride, the brother made her move to the front seat. He chose his bigoted cousin's comfort over his own sister's dignity at his own wedding. She got on the next flight out, booked herself a tropical vacation, and bounced. And honestly, good. She even takes a moment in the post to acknowledge her privilege. She says she knows there are homeless, familyless trans people who would kill to be tolerated the way she is by her brother. And that line gutted me, because she's right, and it's still not enough. Being merely tolerated by your own brother, not protected, not defended, just tolerated, is a painfully low bar. She asked, is she blowing a small thing out of proportion? No, absolutely not. My verdict, NTA. You gave him every chance. You warned him. You sacrificed your own comfort for him over and over again. And when it counted most, he chose their bigotry over your basic dignity. The beach is exactly where you needed to be. I hope it was beautiful. Okay, we're going to go from a wedding to a funeral. And this last one is heavy. It involves grief, a terrified wife, a furious grandmother, and a dad sitting alone in an airport wondering if he crossed a line. All right, deep breath. This one is rough. Our poster is a dad. He's sitting in an airport waiting to fly home when he posts this, so the situation is very fresh, very raw. His daughter, a middle schooler, just lost a classmate, her first experience with the death of someone she knew. The whole class was excused from school, and the funeral was happening that same day. The dad desperately tried to be there. He got his PTO denied. He could not lose his job, so he had to travel, and the plan was for his wife, who is currently unemployed, to take their daughter to the funeral. His wife is deeply spiritual and has a huge fear of anything related to death. Funerals, viewings, she avoids all of it. But this was a mass funeral only. No viewing, no open casket, just a church service. They had discussed it Wednesday before he left. She said she would take their daughter and then go to the graveside. She agreed, she committed, and then she backed out. The daughter called her dad sobbing because Mum was refusing to take her to the funeral. The dad called his own mum, who left work, picked up her granddaughter, and took her to the funeral. His wife called him crying because the grandmother apparently ripped into her, told her she was a bad parent, that it was messed up she couldn't take her kid to her classmate's funeral. The wife wanted the dad to make his mother apologize. Instead, he told his wife, "My mum was right. This was something our daughter needed, and you failed her. You weren't acting like a parent because of your fear." And now he's in the airport, wondering if he went too far. Okay, let's be fair here. The wife has a genuine phobia, fear of death, funerals. That's a real psychological thing. And fear doesn't always respond to logic. I don't think she made this choice because she's cruel. I think she genuinely panicked. But there is a time when you have to push through your own fear for your kid. And this was that time. Your daughter's friend died. She was grieving. She needed to say goodbye, and you, the available parent, couldn't get her there. The grandmother had to leave her job to do what the mum couldn't. Does the dad's delivery need work? Probably. Saying "you fucked it up" isn't exactly therapeutic communication, but was he wrong? No, not really. And the wife's response being to demand his mother apologize to her instead of asking how her daughter's doing, that's a choice. My verdict? Soft NTA. His delivery was harsh, but he wasn't wrong. And the real priority right now is that little girl at the funeral being held by her grandmother, saying goodbye to her friend. Everything else can be worked out later, with therapy and patience and a lot of honest conversations. So, there you have it, folks. 3 stories, 3 people who let down the people who needed them most, and then asked the internet if they were the bad guy. A mother-in-law who called empathy a scene, a brother who called his sister's dignity negotiable, and a wife who let fear win on the one day it couldn't afford to. What do you think? Were any of these people actually justified? Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every single one. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We do this every week, and it only gets wilder from here. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. I'll see you in the next one.